Hello, happy Friday. Welcome. Thank you for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm Sandra Gumansing. In our top story, it's a controversial move on an already hot topic. On Wednesday, Governor Kenneth Mapp put aside criticisms on the government paying for the lieutenant governor's home and signed an executive order making it law. With Executive Order number 476-2016, Governor Mapp is mandating that a home be secured for the lieutenant governor to be paid with taxpayer dollars. News2's April Knight has more.
Governor Kenneth Mapp took matters into his own hands Wednesday when he signed an executive order providing housing on St. Thomas for the Lieutenant Governor of the Virgin Islands. According to Government House, it continues a tradition that historically provided housing for the Lieutenant Governor. With the executive order, the governor also bypassed the approval of the Senate. The argument that the government has traditionally provided a home for the Lieutenant Governor is not new. In fact, the administration has been pointing to it since last year, and yet a flurry of criticism ensued, and in July, Lieutenant Governor Potter said he will shoulder the costs of a mahogany-run condominium that would have cost the government $33,000 a year.
It's not my intention to make a resident, a two-bedroom resident for the Lieutenant Governor to occupy, to make that be a continuous, non-stop bone of contention and distraction.
This is a turnaround from Potter's commitment in July to pay for his own house until a more permanent solution is found. The lieutenant governor's situation is similar to that of the governor in that the government properties usually made available to them as residences are uninhabitable. The only difference is the law actually provides a residence for the governor. There's nothing like that for the second chief executive. In fact, the governor's own legal counsel, Emil Henderson, wrote a letter saying nothing in the revised Organic Act speaks to the government providing a home for the lieutenant governor, and to expend taxpayer monies to secure one would be in violation of the law. Reporting for News 2, I'm April Knight.
According to the executive order, the process would have to go through the Department of Property and Procurement and would be paid out of the budget of the Lieutenant Governor's office. The Virgin Islands Department of Health received confirmation late last night of a case positive for the ZIKA virus in a 42-year-old male on St. Croix. The Virgin Islands Department of Health, they say, is working with the CDC and EOC partners, and that's according to Deputy Commissioner Kimberly Jones. The department anticipates additional cases will be confirmed as new lab results come back from the CDC. Since the first case of ZIKA, which was confirmed in St. Croix on January 19, 2016, the Department of Health has been preparing for additional cases in the VI, and they say they are taking steps to educate the public on how to protect themselves from mosquito bites to prevent the virus from spreading further. Pregnant women and people who develop 2 or more symptoms of ZIKA virus, which is a fever, rash, joint pain, red eyes, should see their primary care provider to be evaluated for ZIKA virus testing. The Department of Health has partnered with many clinics so that testing for ZIKA virus is available free of charge. Those are the clinics listed there and the phone numbers. And the department continues to provide the testing for the ZIKA virus as well, the Department of Health. You can call them, the Emergency Operations Center, for more information, 340-712-6205. Corrections officials on Thursday confirmed that a fire was set by a detainee at the Criminal Justice Complex on St. Thomas and not at the Golden Grove Adult Correctional Facility, as reported, they say, by a local online media. Everett Hansen, assistant director for the agency, said that no injuries were sustained, nor was there any damage to the facility's infrastructure as a result of the fire. Detainee Stedroy Hurst was arrested and charged with first-degree arson and destruction of government property and remanded back to custody at the Criminal Justice Complex. It has been alleged that Hurst set flame to a bedsheet that was hanging from the cell gate of another detainee and then threw water to out the flames. The fire was restricted to the sheet and caused no damage, structural or otherwise. On Friday, February 19th, Kyle Michael Brumet, 24, pleaded guilty in federal court to attempted possession with intent to distribute 4 kilograms of marijuana. According to court documents, on November 24, 2015, Brumet and Jordan Andrew Foster went to the mail stop at the Crown Bay Marina in St. Thomas to pick up a package addressed to Brumet which was tracked by the United States Postal Inspection Service and the DEA. When Foster exited the mail stop with the package, he was observed placing it in a vehicle Brumette was driving. Foster pleaded guilty to possession with intent to distribute marijuana on February 10, 2016. He faces a maximum sentence of 5 years imprisonment and $250,000 fine. Senior District Court Judge Raymond Finch on February 19 sentenced Egdiberto Diaz, 46, to 7 years in federal prison for using and carrying a firearm during and in relation to a crime of violence, and 21 months for interference by commerce with commerce by robbery. According to the plea agreement, on June 21, 2014, Diaz and his co-defendant Daniel Ramos, armed with handguns, entered the Quality Foods located at Estate Castle Coakley in St. Croix. They went into an office area, pointed their handguns at two individuals, and demanded that they open the safe. The two removed deposit bags containing $24,200. They also took items from victims. Diaz was shot by the police. The St. Thomas St. John Board of Elections had a full agenda on Friday. After kicking off with an executive session, the board tackled various election issues, from voters' registration cards with erroneous information to an upcoming Senate hearing that could make major changes to the way elections are done and managed in the territory. News2's April Knight has details.
The St. Thomas St. John Board of Elections met Friday, refusing a request by the St. Croix Board to join in via video conference. One of the problems that came up during the meeting was the fact that some voters' registration cards were recently issued with polling places that no longer exist.
Those things should be implemented immediately, and there's nothing you could get people after to import them into the electronic system, but it should be done automatically, immediately in writing, so that we can the card. How are you going to address those individuals who have been assigned to those polling places that are closed?
Having Tomball Library placed and their ID cards. All we're going to do is confuse these people come November. And it makes absolutely no sense.
According to the election supervisor, the system is remedying that by sending notices to such voters. The system is now also holding demonstrations on the use of the express vote, the new ballot marking machines that would be used together with the DS200s.
I recommend training of election officials for the 2016 election cycle needs to be conducted early, at least 2 sessions, especially when you bring in new equipment online.
The Board of Elections has a lot on its plate. They're being summoned to a March hearing before the Senate Rules Committee to testify on 8 bills. One of them, Bill number 31-0274, requires political parties to conduct their own primary elections. Under the bill, the election system's role would be limited to supervision and certification. Another bill on the table would eliminate district boards of election and form one territorial board. Lawmakers hope this would make for a more united election process for both districts. Reporting for News 2, I'm April Knight.
According to the election supervisor, the St. Thomas St. John Board has also expended more than half of its current fiscal year budget and might need to request additional monies from the 31st legislature. The Virgin Islands Genealogical Society meeting is underway presently. They have invited members of the public to attend its general membership meeting this evening at E's Garden Tea House and Things on Garden Street. The membership meeting is focused on a planned trip to Santiago de Cuba in July. Interested persons are encouraged to attend that meeting, but if you missed it, or for more information, you can contact Dr. Ronald Harrigan, and the number is 340-998-0920. Meanwhile, Delegate to Congress Stacey Plaskett expressed disappointment on Thursday after President Obama made a diplomatic visit to Cuba before having set foot in the U.S. Virgin Islands. According to the delegate, economic relations with Cuba present real challenges to the territory, specifically in competition for U.S. tourism dollars and as a potential diversion of port and manufacturing opportunities in the Caribbean. She said in her discussions with the Obama administration and other lawmakers, she emphasized the need for the United States to prioritize the interests of its own island territories above the interests of diplomatic relations with Cuba. Presidential candidates are ramping up for a big weekend. Race is a key issue for the Democrats in the Nevada caucuses. And the Republicans are going on the offensive in South Carolina. Reed Binion reports.
2 parties, 2 states, and 2 big nominating contests. Voters head to the polls in South Carolina's Republican presidential primary in less than 24 hours. And on the very same day, the Democrats face off in the Nevada caucuses.
We've got to go after systemic racism. We've got to go after the barriers that some states are trying to put up to prevent people from voting.
Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders battling for the minority vote ahead of the Silver State Showdown.
I was arrested when I was 22 years old. You know what I was arrested for? Fighting segregation.
In an interview with BET Television, Sanders also accused Clinton of embracing President Obama's policies in a calculated attempt to appeal to black voters. At Thursday's MSNBC Las Vegas town hall, Clinton fired back.
I just don't know where all this comes from, because maybe it's that Senator Sanders wasn't really a Democrat until he decided to run for president.
Meanwhile, the Republican contest is getting ugly ahead of Saturday's South Carolina primary. Ted Cruz taking heat Thursday for a Photoshopped picture depicting Marco Rubio shaking hands with President Obama.
Every single day he makes something up about me.
Frontrunner Donald Trump also taking a swipe at Cruz during CNN's GOP town hall.
He has a problem with the truth. And even Marco Rubio, I guess today there was something about a picture was manufactured. I looked at that photo. I said immediately it was Photoshopped.
Recent polling shows Trump with a sizable lead in South Carolina, while Clinton and Sanders are running neck and neck in Nevada. I'm Reed Binion reporting.
Keeping our eye on the economy, let's take a look at the stock market watch at the New York Stock Exchange. The Dow down 21, NASDAQ up 16, S&P 500 also down. Coming up on NEWS2, time for our Black History quiz. Who discovered products that could be made from peanuts, such as cooking oil, dyes for clothing, plastics, fuel for cars, and peanut butter? That's an easy answer. Coming up next. Welcome back. Time for the answer to our Black History quiz. George Carver Washington was born in 1864 on a small farm in Diamond Grove, Missouri. His mother, Mary, was a slave. One night, slave raiders came and stole George and Mary from their owners. The Carvers went searching for them, but only found George left by the side of the road. The Carvers took care of George and his brother James like their own. A teacher of his suggested he combine his love for science, art, and plants and study to become a botanist, one who studies plants. George enrolled in Iowa State to study botany and was the first African-American student there. He earned a bachelor's and master's degree in science and became the first African-American to teach there. George then moved to Tuskegee to head up the agricultural department. Carver began to come up with products that could be made from peanuts, such as cooking oil, dyes for clothing, plastics, fuel for cars, and peanut butter. Farmers were able to rotate their crops and get more production from their land. George died on January 5th, 1943, after falling down the stairs at his home. Congress named January 5th as George Washington Carver Day. Lieutenant Governor Osbert Potter, chairman of the Virgin Islands Banking Board, cautions all residents to protect their debit cards against unauthorized use by safeguarding the card's personal identification number, or the PIN. The Office of the Lieutenant Governor Division of Banking and Insurance is offering some tips, such as choose PINs and passwords that would be difficult to guess, avoid using your PIN as in numbers and sequences such as 1, 2, 3, 4. Never have the same PIN for every ATM or debit card you own. Don't carry your PIN in your wallet, purse, or pocket. Carefully check your ATM or debit card transactions and periodically check your account activities. The Commissioner of the Department of Licensing and Consumer Affairs announced that a partnership with AARP has led to a public presentation on fraud prevention. Seniors have been proving, they say, to be the most vulnerable group when it comes to scams that involve complex networks or technically savvy individuals that steal money and the identity of the victims. Vera Falou, who is president of the St. Croix AARP chapter number 3167 and senior advocate, alerted the department to the pervasive issues that the community presented to her. Any organization or group interested in hosting a forum or presentation, you can contact DLCA. The Department of Labor announced some changes this week. According to Labor Commissioner Catherine Hendry, the maximum weekly benefit amount in the Virgin Islands for benefit year beginning January 3rd of this year is $480, and the taxable wage base for employer contributions is $23,000. The workers' compensation maximum benefit amount for disability income benefits has also increased from $489 per week or $97.80 per day to $492 per week or $98.40 per day. This will affect all injuries that occurred on or about January 1st, 2016. The St. Croix Federation of Teachers, Local 1826, they're announcing a total of 3 $1,000 one-time scholarships. For scholarship applications and details, you can contact the guidance counselors at schools or the union office, and that number is 340-778-4414. The deadline for submitting your scholarship application, they say, is May 6, 2016. Virgin Islands Department of Education recently held a graduation ceremony for 15 of its teachers who completed the Reinforcing ESL Education Approaches and Content Knowledge of Teachers, or Project REACT coursework, earning them a Master of Education degree with a concentration in English as a second language. For the past 5 years, program participants were enrolled in classes through Guayabo, Puerto Rico-based Universidad del Turabo and Ana G. Mendez Foundation University. Professors conducted the classes at the Department of Education's Curriculum Center conference room Thursday through Saturday. Project REACT was made possible through the Teacher Quality Enhancement Grant managed by the Department of Education. The graduation ceremony was held on January 27th at UVI on St. Thomas. Virgin Islands Water and Power Authority has launched a public messaging campaign you may have seen to increase the awareness of the benefits of WAPA's new smart meter electrical consumption device. The territory-wide multimedia campaign will run through mid-summer. The smart meters are one component of automated metering infrastructure which is being implemented. The meters facilitate accurate meter reading from the WAPA's offices and allows the customer service representatives real-time customer account information. Customers will have the ability to control their consumption methods and costs by monitoring the real-time energy usage in their homes and businesses. The authority says it places the territory on par with communities on the mainland and around the world. Be sure to mark this on your calendar. Tsunami siren systems will be tested and school evacuation drills will be planned. That's March 13th to the 19th, because it's Tsunami Preparedness Week in the U.S. Virgin Islands, to raise awareness about the territory's vulnerability and risk for a tsunami event and to encourage the community to be prepared. On Thursday, March 17th, the territory will join several Caribbean countries in a regional tsunami response exercise titled Carib Wave 16. This exercise is designed to evaluate local tsunami response plans. Carib Wave 16 will simulate an 8.4 magnitude earthquake off the Caribbean coast of Venezuela that generates a tsunami. This event will trigger widespread tsunami warning and watch situations throughout the Caribbean. International Capital Management Company is reminding you about its highly anticipated music series event, the supersized version of Jazz in the Park. That's scheduled to take place on Saturday, February 20th from 4 p.m. to 10 in Roosevelt Park on St. Thomas, featuring 2014 Thelonious Monk International Jazz Trumpet Competition Award winner Marquise Hill Blacktat as the evening's headliner. He and his band brings their unique blend of urban jazz fusion to the stage. Lois Taylor and friends who will once again bring together an impressive cadre of Virgin Islands jazz talent. There will be a health and wellness expo, Kids Zone, VI Art Walk, and the local Authors Village, and that is just to name a few. Well, be sure to stick around. Your News2 AccuWeather forecast is coming up next.